Well, our next guest is Dan Leva. He's the best-selling author of the book Amplified, and he says we're living through the loudest industrial revolution in history. For 25 years, he's built and led operations at companies like Apple, Intuit, and Travelers, and eBay. Dan, welcome to the Michael D. Show in the Beyond Publishing Studio. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, very glad to have you here. There's a big disruption, and you're on the forefront of it with your book Amplified. So, Dan, your book Amplified: The Operator's Playbook for Scaling Human Potential in an AI World. Why did you write Amplified? Who is it for?
Yeah, for me, most AI books are written for leaders who are deciding what they do. There's a lot of books out there about what is AI and what's AI going to do in the world. And I really wrote Amplified for leaders who are already doing it and running into problems that nobody warned them about, right? Dashboards look good, efficiency's up, but trust is quietly eroding in the background. Nobody can explain who owns the decision. The AI is making the decision in the background. Customers escalating, right? Those aren't technology problems. They're operating model problems, right? And I spent 25 years in, some of the top companies in the world dealing with these things. And for me, it's how do you build that practical framework? It's as I spend a lot of time in the business world, I read a lot of business books and there was a lot of theory and everything that frustrated me was like, this is great theory, but how do I apply it? And for me, my purpose in writing the book was I wanted to give people tools that they could actually apply. So it was about here's a framework that you can actually take and do something with it. And so I wanted that framework for addressing those problems before they become expensive. How to classify decisions, how to define ownership, right? I wanted to make it for people who were responsible for making that work inside of a real organization. A VP of operations whose team is just rubber stamping AI decisions, a CX leaders whose retention numbers are going down. They're not looking for a vision of the future. They need a system for the problem they're already in, right? They're already in this problem. AI isn't slowing down. It's making decisions every day, because it's not about, hey, I have to implement AI tomorrow. Companies are stuck with it today. The C-suite is demanding AI, AI, AI. It's got to change today. The boards are demanding it today. And for me, it was about how do I get a book in people's hands that they could deploy and start doing things while AI is in the company and running today. And that's what I saw. I saw it wasn't failing from bad AI and bad technology. It was about not having the tools to implement in the organization.
Well, the hardcover, the paperback, the ebook, they're all dropping today. You want to grab it. This is hot. Inside Amplified, leaders learn how to recognize when efficiency becomes a hidden organizational risk, design decision boundaries that preserve human accountability. People are really talking about Amplified, and I know you're speaking everywhere on podcasts and on stages. Who would you say is going to benefit the most? Is it the CEO, the middle manager, the employee, or the end consumer in Amplified?
I think it's a mix of both. I think, the C-suite's going to get something out of it. They're going to understand, right? It's not just if I'm seeing the dashboards and all the numbers are green, the efficiency numbers are green. It's like, that's great. But what's going on with what I call those key human indicators? What's going on with the trust, with the agency, those things you don't see in the typical dashboards, right? Those people who are responsible for those decisions every day, do they really understand what's going on underneath, right? The AI, what's going on with that. And I think just for people, you look more and more on what's going on today with every AI engine that's out there, and you're seeing people apply it in their daily lives. And you're seeing people who are seeing these AI tools come to them and say, hey, how am I having my own email being touched every day by these things? And so even for the end consumer, how do you think about what do I let AI do and what do I let not AI not do in my personal life? And so anybody can use this book just to think about what decisions do I let AI make and what's the level of risk I let AI make in my decisions. AI is coming to everything, my financial life, my personal life. And so there's guides in there for everybody. I think the people who are going to get the most out of it are people who are, implementing AI today. But it's coming to touch every aspect of everyone's life.
Well, you really talk about practical and tactical solutions. And I know when you, as a former executive with Apple, eBay, and Intuit, you've seen it all and you've been on the front end of transition and technology. So, as you're speaking, what are some of the main topics you're hitting from stage and on podcasts as you're speaking everywhere about Amplified?
Yeah, I think the key for me is really, I've made mistakes, right? And I'm going to talk about those mistakes. I'm not coming from a, hey, I did it, I was perfect. I want people to learn from the mistakes I've made so that they don't make them also. And that was one of the key things. And as I wrote the book, it's like, this is not coming from a place of perfection. This is coming from a place of, hey, here's what I did, here's what I've learned. Hopefully you'll learn from some of those. And here's some of the frameworks that I built over those 25 years. And some of those frameworks are like the decision guidelines. Here's how to think about what you should let AI make decisions on, what the level of risk is. I use a simple for a decision framework, simple three classes of decisions. If it's something that's simple that you can have clear rules about, let's say, let's use something like UPS, how you route a package. There's clear guidelines about how you route a package. The AI can do that. If there's something a little more risky, that you may, hey, AI can make a recommendation, but you need to let a human make that final decision. Okay, hey, let's have AI make a recommendation. Something very risky, regulatory, I'm going to deny a mortgage claim. I'm going to deny an insurance claim. You may let AI take a look at it and let AI say, hey, I can process 8 of the 10 steps. But those last 2 steps, yeah, you really need to make sure that you've got that trained, experienced person looking at that. Because if you make the wrong decision, it's really going to be extremely impactful, and maybe even there's a regulatory, there's a financial impact to the company behind that. And so for me, that's just one of the things I talk about. I talk about ownership. I talk about what I call the red button. If you're going to let AI make a decision, do you have people with the authority or agency to push the red button and say, hey, AI is doing something wrong here. Can I stop the AI and say, wait, it's doing something wrong? And is there no penalty for the person to do that? Right? Because they should be able to stop it and say, wait, it's doing something wrong. And let's check to make sure if it's doing something wrong. If it's doing something wrong, let's fix it. If not, that's okay. We should let people question it because people should have that, right? AI is not perfect yet. AI can make mistakes.
Dan lays out the framework in Amplify, the operator's playbook for scaling human potential in an AI world. The hardcover, the paperback, the ebook are available everywhere books are sold, not just on Amazon, but Walmart.com, Target.com, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million. Ask for it in your local bookstore and library. As Dan speaks around the world at leadership conferences and works directly with executive teams on AI strategy, governance, operating model design, and customer experience transformation. If you're rethinking how your organization operates in a world where AI is moving faster than most governance structures can keep up with, you need to connect with Dan. And Dan, the best way for people to get you on their stage and to get you on their podcast is CXAmplify.com. What are they going to find there and what's in it for them?
Yeah, they can find more about me, more about what I've done. They can find information about how to contact me. Just simple Dan at CXAmplify.com. Visit the website. They can find out about a little bit about what I do and how I work with companies, and they can find more about my background.
People are talking about amplified everywhere. Technology scales operations and people scale the possibilities, says Dan in Amplified. So grab yours while you can. This makes great gifts. And I tell you, for reading groups, for fraternities, for your golf teams, for your bowling leagues, everybody's talking about AI for good reason. This is not going away. You want to be on the front end of the curve. Dan, what's a final word you want to leave with everybody about Amplified?
AI is impacting everyone. For me, don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. And something like the Amplified framework will help you figure out how to use it and not be afraid of it.
Dan at cxamplify.com. Follow him. And Dan, congratulations. It's been a lot of fun working with you. It's been fun having you speak on our author mastermind. And I tell you, people just love when you speak every week because you're giving some practical, tactical things that they can use in their companies right away. Dan, we're going to have you back when we can do a longer interview and we hear back on some more of these speaking events you're doing and some of these conferences you're contributing at. Thanks for being
Great.
with us on the Michael D Show.
Great. Thanks. It's been a pleasure.